Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti. My guest this evening is Elizabeth Steffen, who is board president of Saybrook Village Senior Housing Complex in Old Saybrook. Liz, welcome. How are you?
I am fine.
Thank you for coming down. Here. Nice to see you again. What's new?
I'm keeping busy and keeping safe.
There you go. Well, hey, especially now. That's all we ask.
Yep.
That is all we ask. So, Liz, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became board president of Saybrook Village Senior Housing?
I was recruited to be a board member.
Okay.
And the first year I just sat there and listened. The second year I became vice president of the board.
That's right.
And the third year, the person in charge of nominating called me and said, I know you said you would be vice president again, but we can't get anyone to be president, so you're going to have to do the agendas and run the meetings anyway, so you might as well take the title of president. And that's how I became president, and I've been president since June of 2019.
And obviously, are you appointed by a board of directors?
I'm elected by a board of directors. There are 10 of us on the board at the present time.
Okay.
My vice president is Charles Hamill, who's rector of Grace Episcopal Church on Main Street in Old Saybrook. Secretary is Carrie Hansen Blaha, who's assistant branch manager of Essex Bank on Main Street in Old Saybrook.
Sure.
Treasurer is Devin Carney. Mm-hmm. And assistant treasurer is Lauren Blaha, no relation to Carrie. They didn't even know each other.
Okay.
And she's registrar of voters in Killingworth.
I've met Lauren.
You have met Lauren.
I was going to say.
Met Lauren, yes.
Met Lauren.
Yeah.
So what type of residence is?
There are 3 different types of units there.
Okay.
And I'm going to have to use my cheat sheet.
That's okay.
There's East, which consists of 36 apartments for those 62 and older or under 62 and disabled. Part of the funding for East was donated by Katharine Hepburn way back in 1982 when it was under construction. They are HUD-subsidized 36 units for low income. Rent is 30% of the adjusted gross income, and the income must be under $43,750 a year.
Wow.
The utilities are included in their rent, and right now we have 231 applicants waiting to get in.
Oh, wow.
With the waiting list of 3 to 6 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. They stayed quite a while. We had one resident who only left this past February, and she was 100 years of young.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And she was the first female harbor master in Old Saybrook, in Connecticut, and in the United States.
Really?
Yep. Her name was Marguerite Gallagher, and if you asked her how she became harbor master, she'd say, oh, my father was first selectman.
And was he?
Yes.
Okay.
Way back.
All right.
Probably before I was born.
Okay.
Then we have West, that was built in 1988. Oh, and I should say that, I did say HUD subsidized. West is 14 apartments, again, for 62 and older, and that was financed by CHFA, Connecticut Housing Financial Authority.
Right.
Your income must be lower than $62,600. Rent start at $971 a month. Again, utilities are included, and we have a waiting list of 83 applicants, and it's a 3 to 5 year wait list.
Holy God.
Yeah, people want to come.
Yeah, I know.
And then the newest group is South, which is 15 apartments.
Okay.
Again, 62 and older. That was financed by the Department of Housing and has 3 different income guidelines and 3 different rent amounts. The tenants pay their utilities, but they do get an allowance given for their utilities.
Okay.
And because that's new, it only opened 4 years ago, there are only 16 people on that waiting list. And it's many people drive by and think it's a condominium units
Right.
and want to know how much the unit costs to get into, and are stunned when they find out it's just rental. And they're 600 square foot apartments.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter what the income level of the resident is, the layout of all the apartments is identical.
Really?
So you don't know whether a person has the upscale apartment or the HUD financed apartment. And it's kept immaculate. We have an administrator from Elderly Housing Management in North Haven who's there full time from 6 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon.
Okay.
There's a social services person who helps arrange Medicare Advantage, any extra things that a tenant may need because they have a disability or because they just don't know how to do things. Yes, excuse me, on Friday she helped one of the tenants who is visually handicapped fill out her application for an absentee ballot.
Okay.
And then later this month, 3 of us on the board are elections officials.
Yes.
Representing both parties. Mm-hmm. So we will set up a date to go there in the morning, and any resident who would like assistance in filling out their absentee ballot,
Right.
we will assist them. And they don't know what party we represent. That's doesn't make any difference.
No, absolutely not. And then you have to mail them back?
Last year we just walked them across to town hall
That's
and
right.
put them in the box.
That's right, because if for people that don't know,
Yeah.
the location we're talking about is directly across the street from Town Hall.
Yep. So either that, before we had the box, the 2 of us who did it would walk the ballots into the town clerk's office and just hand them to the town clerk. If it's somebody who's registered outside of Old Saybrook, then we put them in the mail.
Right. Right. Now, for the complex, do you have to be a resident of Old Saybrook to
Apply? Nope.
No?
No, you can. We get applications from all over for people who want to live in the complex. And right now we have an application before the ARPA
Yep.
committee. Our residents were so badly isolated for 2 years that social services in Old Saybrook came to Kathleen and to me and said, I want you ladies to put in a proposal for an outdoor pavilion for your residents. And so we are before the ARPA ad hoc committee of the selectmen to get that pavilion funded by ARPA.
ARPA. Do you think it's going to, should it go through?
I have my fingers and toes and everything else crossed.
Okay.
I'm hoping. I've done everything that they've asked. They asked me to get zoning approval. I got zoning approval.
Okay.
Then they just have to, the committee has to vote yes. The selectmen have to vote yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then because it's more than 20,000, it goes to a special town meeting.
Okay.
Where the town residents have to vote yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any idea what timeline for the
I
town
have
meeting? Or
no
who knows?
idea. We've been working on this since, I think, the end of April.
Okay.
And I tried to go to all the ARPA meetings. They even changed one because the last meeting was going to be on Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
And I couldn't attend, so they changed it to Thursday night.
That's right.
So I was able to attend it.
How was the meeting?
Long.
Okay. Okay. All right.
There are a lot of parts of town that want to have some of this ARPA money that
Right.
the town of Old Saybrook has. And because of what has happened around the country with the government saying that they were fraudulently using the money, town of Old Saybrook is being very careful.
Oh, yeah.
And I applaud them for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Carl's got to be very careful about
Very
how
careful.
he
How that money...
how he allocates the cash.
Yep. Yep. And there are a lot of worthy causes.
Right.
You know, a lot of places suffered because of the COVID, and a lot of places are still suffering. I mean, we keep our residents 6 feet apart as much as we can. We don't use the community room
Okay.
anymore because it's just not safe to have 40 or 50 people in that room.
No, absolutely not.
You know, we've changed what we do at the holidays. We used to give them a big party that
Right.
the board paid for, and now we give them gift certificates to Walt's Market on Main Street.
Oh, sure.
And I was almost knocked off my feet when Paul Cozy of Walt's Market said to me, "Oh, I'll kick in $10 to every gift certificate," which meant he was kicking in over $700.
Wow.
And, you know, he's a small market.
Oh, absolutely.
And yet he would do that for these 71, 72 senior citizens. That's a hunk of change.
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely a hunk of change.
So, you know, it's something I'm proud to work for and on. I'm there 2-3 times a week.
Okay.
I respond if a tenant has a problem that Kathleen can't solve. But she can solve just about everything.
Oh, really?
She's been there for, I think she said 13 years.
Oh, okay.
Social services person's been there for over 10 years. The person who does fixing of anything that breaks, and I mean anything, he can just about fix anything or improve something, has been there for over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's a good group of 5 people who work there.
All right. Would you mind sticking around for another segment?
Sure.
All right, we'll be right back.
Smart TVs and streaming services have taken over the television industry. VSC TV is proud to announce our presence on Apple TV and Roku to make watching your favorite shows even easier. You can access this service by downloading the Cablecast ScreenWeave app. Then choose Valley Shore Community TV from the list of channels. Select VSC TV Live to watch our channel in full HD. Or pick a show from our on-demand video library. VSC TV is your local Connecticut Midshore Valley digital connection.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti, sitting here with Elizabeth Steffen, who's board president of Saybrook Village Senior Housing Complex. Welcome back.
Pleasure.
Nice to see you again. So we were talking about in the first segment about the organization as a whole. Maybe we can open up this segment asking about what exactly is Saybrook Village and where is it located? I know we talked about it briefly, but...
It's located on Sheffield Street
Yeah.
in Old Saybrook, which is just off Main Street, and it's across the street from the Board of Education building
Yep.
as you go down Sheffield Street. It's on your left. And it's 3 big buildings, 2-story.
All right.
So the lower units are for people who can't do the stairs.
Okay.
And we have ramping everywhere. And the formal address is 55 Sheffield Street. And as I said before, a lot of the tenants have been there for quite a long time, and the only thing that forces them out is if they need more services than just senior housing can provide. We're not assisted living.
Nope.
So they have to be able to do their own grocery shopping. They have to be able to cook their own meals, clean their own apartments, or
Right.
get somebody to come
clean.
in to be a chambermaid and clean their apartments.
Okay.
And during the really bad isolation for COVID, the mechanical person's assistant would go to the food pantry once a week for those tenants who needed food assistance. And the food pantry knew who those tenants were. And he would bring back the shopping bag full of food for each of those tenants. And whatever a particular tenant didn't like or didn't need, that was put on a big table in the community room. And it's amazing how there was food there Tuesday afternoon, and by Friday, most of it had disappeared because anybody could come in and help themselves to what was there. And if there was still food left there on Sunday morning, there was one tenant who would bag it up and he would take it to his church. So nothing went to waste.
No, absolutely not.
You know, we had extra rice, extra cereal. Sometimes we had tons of onions and turnips, and not everybody liked them. So
Right.
that would just move on to the next food pantry where people needed food assistance.
Oh, wow.
So it was, you know, one hand helping the other hand, even with the terrible isolation of COVID.
Absolutely. And the good thing about where you're located in Old Saybrook, you're within walking distance or a short commute to everything.
Yep.
Downtown.
There is a path through one of the condominium developments that's technically on Main Street, so they can walk through that path or take their electric scooters through that path, and they end up in the parking lot where Paperback
Yep.
is, and then they can either go to the estuary or they can go shopping on Main Street, which was one of the reasons we were happy to work with Waltz
Right.
on the gift certificates, because it was just a block and a half away,
Absolutely.
and not all these people drive.
No.
But you got to be careful of those electric go-karts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some of them drive those things really fast, so you really have to watch out for those folk.
And obviously those are okay to be on the streets.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
I was somewhere the other day, and I was on one of the side streets in Clinton and down by the beach, and I was standing talking to somebody, and about a half a dozen golf carts went by me. I'm like, what? They're like, people can drive golf carts down on the beach.
Yep.
They were like, but they're not allowed on Route 1. 'cause
That's
you
right.
can't.
Well, these are smaller than
Yeah.
the golf carts, but they drive them from one building to another to see a friend.
Right.
They drive them to the estuary, to Main Street, and a couple of those drivers are dangerous at any
A little bit
speed.
speedier than they should be, huh?
Yeah,
Shall we say?
just a tad.
Now, what are the income restrictions?
Well, the south building doesn't have an income restriction.
Okay.
The east building, which is HUD subsidized, it's $43,750. And the west building, which is financed by CHFA, it's $62,600.
Wow.
And they have to fill out a full financial report
Okay.
when they apply.
And then they have to wait for the financial report to come back.
And the whole thing, and they go on a waiting list. I was talking to Kathleen when I picked this up this morning, and she said somebody had been on the list, and then for whatever reason, she asked to be removed from the list. And she just came back to Kathleen a week or so ago to ask, can I please go back on the list? But unfortunately, she drops to the bottom of the list.
So she loses her seniority of where she was on the list.
On the list, yes.
So if she was up here,
if she probably,
basically,
if she had stayed on the list, she probably would be living there by now.
gotcha.
But
So she drops and goes to the bottom of the list, and then has to
work her way back up. And once a year, the people from Elderly Housing Management contact all the people on the separate list to make sure they still want to remain on it,
Right.
or to see if they unfortunately have passed away, and so they automatically come off the list.
Right.
And so that list gets updated every single year, and sometimes during the year.
Okay.
So
Now, as far as how does a senior get an apartment?
well, you fill out an
out the-
application,
fill out
you
the
go
form.
through the financials, and then you hopefully get an apartment becomes available
Right.
while you're still young enough and strong enough and healthy enough. You know, we can't take anyone who really belongs in assisted living
Right.
or in a nursing home. So it's got to be a pretty independent senior citizen.
Gotcha. And as far as the process goes, how long does it take?
I guess for some people it takes 3 to 5 years in some of the units
Right.
to get an apartment, because we don't know how long any of us are going to be strong and healthy.
Exactly.
I'm older than some of the tenants, and knock on wood,
There you go.
I'm still healthy enough to be fully independent, but I don't know how long that will last. So, we take it month by month.
Now, we were talking in the first segment about I guess you guys want to build a structure with some ARPA funding?
Yeah, it's, we call it a pavilion. It's, excuse me, the one we were looking at is 28 feet by 16 feet.
Okay.
It has a roof. It's totally open to the air, because if you enclose it, you defeat the whole purpose.
Exactly.
It will have this 3-foot-high wood border around it, so nobody can fall out or fall off.
Right.
And it'll have bench seats with cushions.
Okay.
It'll have a table in the middle. It will not have electricity. It will not have running water.
Okay.
We did that because we don't want people having loud parties at night,
Okay.
but it will allow grandparents to be with their grandchildren again.
There you go.
And excuse me, it will, as long as it's a nice day in April
Right.
or in October,
Yeah.
it'll be usable from April, May, June, July, August, September, October.
And then once the weather breaks.
Once it gets too cold, then it won't be able to be used.
Exactly, and then it'll be.
And it looks out over the salt marsh and one of our lighthouses. So you see the Connecticut River and you see the Long Island Sound.
Really? Well, that's got to be cool to see.
What we had to do with zoning was make sure that wherever we located it, it was outside the upland review area for the salt marsh.
Okay.
So we had enough room in the northeast corner of the property, near the cemetery, to place it. And we'll have to have a concrete walk because we don't want people with walkers or those scooters not being able to use it. So it's going to be full ADA compliant.
There you go.
And the walkway will have a rope railing system, again, so that somebody who's visually disabled won't fall off the path.
Exactly. Well, Liz Steffen from the Saybrook Village Senior Housing. We're about to run out of time, so thanks for coming down. Hopefully we'll see you again soon.
My pleasure, Peter.
Thanks. On behalf of Liz Steffen, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks. Good night. We'll see you next time.